I asked Andrea if she was going to talk about the awards that she's won, and she's very shy and humble, and she wasn't going to do that, so I said, I'm doing it. So she's won the Premier's Award, Excellent Environment, Resource Recovery Award, and the Best Waste Manager, Female Waste Manager in New South Wales or Australia. This is a brilliant story. 50% reduction in waste to landfill over a 6-year program, engaging with the community. It's a great role model of taking a local tip to a best practice facility. And Andrea will never say that because she's too humble, but it's really fantastic and a great template for any council looking to do reform, backed on a $2.50 levy on waste to landfill and completely driven by the council with Andrea steering the ship. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I actually forget about the awards. It's not about the awards. It's about actually getting things happening on the ground, which is what our main focus is. Hello, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Andrea, and I'm the team leader of waste management from Albury City Council. And I have been there for about 9 years now. And when I first started at council, I was given the position to manage a 200,000 tonne landfill, and I'd come from something that was only 20,000 tonnes. So it was quite a significant jump for me personally, but what I realised very quickly was that the facility was a very daggy facility, and something that I should really show you is, I should have had some before photos, but I don't have those, but I will talk to you about all the successes and all the achievements we have done around the Albury region. But what I did find are some of the challenges when I first started. We had no plant and equipment at the landfill facility. We had no resources there either. We were doing almost no recycling, so almost about 90% of our material was all being buried and very little was being recycled at the time. No infrastructure, there was no planning, there was no vision, and then I worked out we had about 12 years life left in the landfill as well. So everything was actually quite negative. And on top of that, we also had our fees and charges were around $30 a tonne. So there was really, it was very difficult to try and do any recycling because there really was no incentive to do that. So that's what I started with. I know Mike said, make sure you mention that it's a daggy facility. I think looking back now, it probably was. At the time, it looked all right, it looked like a great landfill. But obviously needed to have a fairly significant cultural change. And by doing what we have done over the last 9 years, we've gone ahead and introduced education and infrastructure and planning and been able to achieve some great outcomes. So I'll share that with you. So what we've done is we introduced a model, and our model was to fund education, we needed to have money, and to do that we put a $2.50 per tonne levy onto every tonne of waste that came into the landfill to start off with. That actually generated nearly $400,000 worth of education money. So that was a great thing that we started off right from the get-go. And our education campaign, we called it Halve Waste. And I must also mention that we're not the only council that is involved in Halve Waste. Halve Waste is just the brand and the model that we have chosen. But it's a collective of 6 councils getting together to do this program. And there are 3 New South Wales councils and 3 Victorian councils. So you've also got all that legislative, cross-border, those type of issues to manage as well. And as I mentioned before, we also, we've got about 12 years worth of life left, and so the main goal in changing infrastructure and improving our education was to ensure that the landfill is here for the long term. Halve Waste needed to have a goal, or a bit of an aim. So our aim was to halve our waste, and that's what we've called our program as well. And it really has been something that everyone knows about. I think you'll find our community think that it's an Australia-wide program. They just think it's everywhere because it is synonymous for our region, which is great. And I'll go on to just to share some of the things that we've done from an education point of view. Probably to give you an idea about, where we're tracking, you will find that back in 2009-10, when we started the Halve Waste program and all our infrastructure planning, we were taking that 185, 200,000 tonnes into the landfill. And just at the end of 2017, we'd actually reduced it to 162,000 tonnes. So not only have we been able to reduce our tonnage, but you'll also see there that we've been able to reduce what's been buried, which is the middle line, which hasn't come up coloured, unfortunately, but that is our waste that has been reduced in burying to the landfill. And that's basically gone from 130,000 tonnes, 140, down to well below 100,000 tonnes. And the bottom line is the recycling, although it hasn't come up very well there from a colour point of view, but that's our increase in recycling. So we are tracking to actually meet our Halve Waste target. A lot of our education, and this has been key to our program, and because we needed to effect a cultural change, was to make sure that we engage with our community. And these are just samples of some of the information that supports our program and goes out to our community. That's really just giving you an idea of what some of our press ads look like. We did go with a champion, but our community, when we did a brand recognition review, they actually want your Joe Blows in the ads and on the press ads and on everything else. So you'll find we've gone with all local identities around our region. Local tradies and people that everyone knows, and it just actually, just brings so much more support for the program. To be honest, the community, this is their program, they own it, and you'll find that anything that we have out there, they actually moderate everything for us, so we don't have to do too much anymore. There's just a little bit more information about all the fact sheets that are on our website that provide the information. Just some more information about the collection calendars. We do have quite a comprehensive schools program as well. We have 2 education officers that are funded under the Halve Waste model, and they go out to schools, community groups, events, businesses, anywhere you like basically, and they'll actually undertake education. As you can see there, we've pretty much looked at focusing on bringing that element of, the younger age group as well, but you will find that there is a varied presence of old and young in our information and everything that we produce. These are the sorts of tools that are used at various events that we do hold. And our trucks also have Halve Waste information on them as well, so you'd have to be living under a rock if you couldn't see the banners, the events, the TV, the advertising, the radio, it's on social media, it's basically everywhere. And just another example of information about Halve Waste on vehicles. Here's just an example of a TV ad that's been recently presented over the Christmas period.
Celebrating with family and friends is great, but it can get a bit hectic.
Especially at clean-up time. With a few tips, we can help keep things in the right bins and keep on track to halving our waste.
These paper plates and these napkins can both go in the green lidded bin.
So can these wooden skewers and the leftovers.
Pop those bottles and plastic cups straight in the yellow lidded bin. Just remember, no plastic bags.
See, if everyone chips in, it's easy to do good. Halve Waste.
And what our community really wanted to see was making sure that we said thank you to them. So that's really just one way of getting quite a few messages across, but actually bringing them along for the ride and making sure that they also participate and join in, and we do say thank you to them. And here's just another example of a timber ad that we've done recently.
When disposing of timber, it's important to know it can't go in the green lidded organics bin.
That's right, mate. The green lidded organics bin is perfect to dispose of small sticks and branches from around your yard, but it's not to be used for timber.
Timber needs to be taken to your local recycle centre, transfer station, or better yet, save it for your next project.
See? It's easy to do good. For more information, go to halvewaste.com.au.
As you can see, they're not paid actors. We know that fellow. What's his name? he comes to the landfill all the time. I can't think of his name, but he's always at the landfill and gets quite a bit of flack about his professional side job. Anyway, so just on to Halve Waste with the various things that we've been doing from a campaign perspective. So the program has been running since 2009-10. We develop a yearly plan, and as I said, we've got that 380,000-400,000 to spend on Halve Waste, and it really does allow us to affect some change. And you've seen that just from the diversion that's been happening. And this just gives you an idea of some of the elements of the campaign. We're a high focus into the schools area, television, print, radio, a lot about billboard advertising. We also went down the path of introducing FOGO back in 2015, so we've used Halve Waste as the model to follow through with the education of that. A lot around composting. Not all of our regional areas or our councils in our regional area wanted to go to FOGO, so we do offer alternatives through the composting option. A comprehensive website, and you'll feel free to have a look at that. It does have a lot of information, and social media has become quite significant as well. And a couple of other items there, but it is a comprehensive program. So before I move on to the next one, this is actually just going to show you, it's a couple of minutes, and it'll just show you all of the positive things, all the things we've achieved and all of our successes, and it will showcase our lovely landfill now. It's not the daggy thing that it once was, and it's something that we're very proud of and feel that everyone should look at this as, we think it's something that's very much a benchmark, and we also know and recognise that there's still a lot of work to be done, but are quite excited about what we have achieved to date.
In 2010, Albury City set an ambitious target of halving the amount of waste in landfill by 2020, and we're already well on track, reaching a reduction rate of 38% in 2017. It's been a community-wide achievement that saw 135,000 people from 5 local government areas across southern New South Wales and northeast Victoria send their household and business waste on a journey of renewal. A few years ago, the contents of some 50,000 curbside bins would have found their way into a mountain of landfill. Not anymore. Now, driven by people power, most of this material gets a new life. Everything from food scraps to glass to hard plastics and even polystyrene is reused, recycled or resold. And much of it happens at Albury City's Waste Management Centre, one of the largest landfills in the state and a leader in the field. Glass, paper and cardboard is recycled, while the organic waste collected as part of our 3-bin system is transformed into compost. And in that process, we even make the most of the smelly stuff. Methane from decomposing organics is harvested to provide enough energy to power 1,500 homes. Elsewhere on site, huge piles of vegetation, building refuse, timber, old fridges, TVs, gas bottles, batteries and all sorts of odds and ends are also recycled. As little as possible ends up in the ground, and that means the life of the city's landfill will be extended beyond 18 years as we work towards halving our waste and setting a new standard of sustainability. At our new state-of-the-art recycling centre on site, we encourage people to deliver all sorts of recyclables at no charge. None of it finds its way into landfill, and as a result, our general waste area is a fraction of its size from days gone by. Odds and ends that once might have cluttered sheds or attics for years also get a second chance. Reusable goods are ferried next door to our upcycle shop, a treasure trove of pre-loved items where shoppers can bag a bargain while helping their environment. It's all part of a plan to empower the community to take charge of its own environmental future. Education is critical. School students of all ages are regular visitors. More than anyone, they know that what we do now will make a world of difference for them and for the generations that follow.
Instead of putting materials that can be recycled into landfill, we can put them into here so that they have another use and so that we're not filling up our world with pollution.
Well, if we learn it earlier, we'll have a better understanding of what type of waste can go into each bin and make our region a whole lot waste-free.
Of course, technology is at the heart of the process. Take our polystyrene processing machine, for example. Once, the polystyrene went into landfill where it was out of sight but remained intact for hundreds of years. Now, it's compressed into bricks for export, where it's used to make mouldings such as skirting boards. But this is just the beginning. As part of the next stage, at a cost of $2 million, Albury City is developing a third weighbridge and a push pit, an undercover tipping area for general waste. There's more to learn too. We're planning a $500,000 education centre due for completion in 2019. And by 2020, we'll have a new recovery facility to process construction and demolition materials. Even old buildings will get a second chance. We welcome industry professionals from around the country as they look to what we're doing so the lessons we've learned can be passed on. Waste not, want not is the message here. And together, we hope everyone can halve waste sooner than they might expect.
So I've talked a lot about education, but I should mention along the way, every year since we started this, we were probably fortunate enough to obtain about $2 million to actually put all this infrastructure in place. So each year we have done a lot of building, purchased a lot of equipment, and basically that's come through those fee increases that I talked about earlier. We were $30 a tonne. We've been able to incrementally increase those over the years, and we've been able to self-fund ourselves in getting these things in place. So we've been very fortunate from that point of view, and along with EPA and Environment Trust money as well along the way, which has been great. Okay, this just shows you really where we were at. So 2010, 185,000 tonnes and what we were recovering. We have had a massive increase in waste in 2018 that we're already saying that we're going to be looking at that 220 plus thousand tonnes, which we haven't done that probably in the last 9 years. But we're still looking at a 63% diversion from landfill, which is positive. I would have to say that our municipal is probably the biggest area where we've had some positive results. You'll see there just the volumes and where our goal is to achieve halve waste, and we are very close to that at the moment, so we're almost at that. Our C&D and our C&I, which we'll go on to have a quick look at, probably are the areas we do need to do a bit more work, but you will find that we have on our plan to build a dirty MRF on site to address that. We do some fairly rudimentary manual separation at the moment for C&D, but we can see that we need to improve that area. So there's still some work to do in the C&D space for us, and there is still also some work to do in the C&I space. We have it earmarked to, because we're still accepting biosolids to landfill in Albury, and that will account for about 9,000 tonnes, which we're looking to divert out. So from an overall perspective, we're looking like achieving our 50% diversion by 2020. And these just show you some of the set to targets and where we are from an overall diversion point. So we are at that 48% diversion overall, and reductions have been very strong, and we feel that we're going to definitely achieve our target by 2020. I suppose just to finalise the presentation, this is pretty much our last slide. Why have we had such success? I think it's all about education and it's all about infrastructure, planning, vision. We were able to, we had a greenfield site and it was pretty daggy, it was pretty crappy, and you had no money coming into the site and nothing was set up, so we were in a fortunate position. We could do a lot of work there and make a lot of improvements. We made the fees work for us. We were able to implement a landfill levy, a small one, which has enabled us to do a lot of education locally. But it's been fantastic, and we've brought our community on for the ride, and our businesses have also been there and supporting the programs, and that's probably still an area that needs to be addressed into the future. But it's been an exciting project, and it will continue to be an exciting project into the future. Thank you.